I thought I was dreaming until the roar of a chainsaw jolted me awake. My heart pounded. Someone was in my yard, uninvited. Then I saw her, clipboard in hand, smirk on her face, and workers cutting deep into my tree. She didn't know karma was waiting. My neighborhood was quiet, the kind of place where kids biked freely and people waved while watering lawns. At the center of my yard stood a giant oak. Over a century old, its branches shaded birthdays, barbecues, and countless afternoons. That tree wasn't just wood. It was family history rooted deep. Enter Karen. Not her real name, but you know the type. She crowned herself queen of the HOA, patrolling with a clipboard, always hunting for problems that didn't exist. Wrong shade of paint? Fine. Basketball hoop in a driveway? Violation. She thrived on control. But nothing drew her obsession more than my oak. To me, it was legacy. To her, it was an eyesore. A hazard she claimed blocked the community's beauty. I brushed off her complaints, certain common sense would win. I was wrong. The storm between us had only begun brewing. The first real clash came one bright morning. I stepped outside and froze. Karen had hired 2 workers, chainsaws buzzing, and was pointing straight at my oak. "What are you doing?" I shouted, running barefoot across the yard. She raised her clipboard like it was a royal decree. "Bylaw 47.8, she declared. "Unsafe vegetation must be removed immediately." I blinked. "There's no such bylaw and you know it. This is my property. You can't just cut down my tree." Karen smirked, her lips curling into that patronizing grin. "The board will back me. I'm doing everyone a favor before this thing falls on someone's house." The workers hesitated, clearly unsure. I stood between them and the oak, refusing to move. "Turn those saws off. Now." One worker obeyed. The other hesitated. But Karen barked, "Keep cutting." I pulled out my phone, recording everything. Her face twitched, realizing her bluff was unraveling. Finally, she snapped, "Fine. This isn't over." She stormed off, heels crunching on the pavement. By the next afternoon, an official-looking envelope appeared in my mailbox. Inside was a violation notice demanding I remove the oak within 7 days or pay $250 daily fines. Her signature was scrawled at the bottom, "Karen, HOA president." The problem? She wasn't president. She wasn't even on the board. Neighbors whispered that she'd pulled the same stunt on them. Fines for bird feeders, threats over rose bushes, even warnings for non-regulation lawn chairs. But no one had challenged her before. This time, I wasn't backing down. I called an arborist who inspected the oak, declared it perfectly healthy, and wrote an official report. I gathered my deed, the HOA handbook, and every scrap of evidence I could find. But deep down, I knew Karen wasn't finished. People like her don't retreat. They escalate. And as much as I wanted peace, the next round was coming fast. It happened at 2 a.m. The sound was unmistakable. A chainsaw ripping through wood. I bolted upright, grabbed my phone, and checked my cameras. There she was, Karen, dressed in dark sweatpants, sneaking across my lawn with a chainsaw roaring. Sparks of sawdust sprayed as she dug into the oak's trunk. I called 911 with shaking hands. "This is Ethan at 214 Brookstone. Someone is trespassing with a chainsaw. Send units now." Then I stepped onto the porch, phone camera flashing. "Karen, drop it. You're on camera, and the police are coming." She turned, eyes wild, shouting over the roar. "This tree is a menace. I'm saving the neighborhood." Neighbors began pouring out, robes flapping, recording the insanity. Kids pointed, whispering, "She's crazy." Sirens cut through the night. 2 cruisers screeched up, lights painting the scene red and blue. Officers leapt out. "Drop the saw," one barked. Karen shook her head, insisting, "I'm the HOA president. I have the authority." But reality hit hard. She finally let the saw clatter to the ground. Officers cuffed her as she screamed, kicking against the grass. The oak stood wounded, a deep gash carved into its trunk. The damage was done. Days later, A storm swept in, wind howling, rain hammering roofs. I watched my oak sway, scarred but steady. Across the street, Karen's own pine, long neglected, brittle with rot, leaned dangerously. Around 10 p.m., thunder cracked. Then came a splintering roar. Karen's pine toppled like a giant, crashing straight through her roof. Shingles exploded, beams split, windows shattered. I grabbed my phone, recording the chaos. Neighbors spilled into the street, gasping. And then Karen herself emerged, drenched and furious. "You!" she screamed, pointing across the storm at me. "You sabotaged my tree. You poisoned it." Her accusations echoed through the rain, but officers arrived minutes later, shaking their heads. "Ma'am, your tree was diseased. This is storm damage." Neighbors backed them up. "She never trimmed it. It's been dead for years." Karen's face twisted with rage as reality closed in. The very tree she ignored had destroyed her home, while the one she attacked still stood tall. Karma doesn't miss. The following week, inspectors swarmed her property. Not just the fallen pine, everything. Cracked siding, clogged gutters, peeling paint. They slapped her with code violations and a bright orange notice. Comply in 60 days or face fines. The HOA board met soon after. The room buzzed as neighbors aired years of grievances. Fake fines, threats, harassment. Finally, James, the real HOA president, stood and read a statement. "Karen has no authority. She is removed from all committees and barred from issuing notices on behalf of this HOA." The room erupted in applause. Even the quiet retirees who never spoke were clapping. Karen sat red-faced, clutching her clipboard like a lifeline before storming out. Her empire of intimidation had collapsed, built on lies and arrogance. But everyone knew she wasn't finished. Bullies rarely leave quietly. She'd try again. And when she did, the law would be waiting. Eventually, Karen faced charges: trespassing, property damage, harassment. Her midnight chainsaw stunt had sealed her fate. Meanwhile, neighbors rallied around me. Together, we planted a new sapling where the oak once stood. Someone suggested a plaque, so we added one. The Boyd oak, cut down by one, replaced by many. That day felt different. Kids ran circles around the new tree, parents laughed freely, and the neighborhood, once divided by fear, finally felt united. Karen's house sat dark, a for sale sign crooked on the lawn. I stood under the young oak, watching its branches sway. The old tree was gone, yes, but something bigger had grown in its place. Community, strength. Karen thought she could cut me down. Instead, she cut herself out. And to anyone watching, have you ever faced a Karen like this? Drop your story below. Remember, bullies only win if we let them.